So again, there are a few techniques that you would potentially use in this particular set of activity as well. That starts off obviously with the brainstorming, because you would like to understand what are the areas. Sometimes you do not know yourself, so you would like to welcome that from the team, understand what they have got to say. It's best to actually kind of get it from the people who are on the ground rather than from the top management. So brainstorming would really help. Interviews with the stakeholders, with the customers, with the users, to understand what are the kind of opportunities that are ahead. Item tracking, as we discussed, again another technique we can use. Lessons learned, very important for the preventive measures, because it doesn't matter what corrective action you've taken, but you've got to understand, take a retrospective approach to things. Look at what has been done, what went well, what did not go well, and then why we should do some things the way we should do. So again, lessons learned is a very big technique on that. And the metrics and key performance indicators and performance targets and these kind of things, it would really help to come up with the objective measurement of the progress. Because as I say, if you don't measure, you're not managing. So measure it to manage it. So if you need to have some kind of measures, if it is to do with development defects, velocity, capacity, if it is to do with defect density, for example, and the defect review efficiencies, all these measures that would help. And then the variance in effort, variance in schedule. You said something that you would deliver by, let's say by 15th of December, but you're not able to meet. It happened once, it happened twice, thrice. So that means that there is a variance, and there is a variability in what you're promising and what you're delivering. So you need to track these and make sure that you address that, why it is happening, why is it that you're not able to meet your commitments, what are the contributing factors. Do a kind of analysis of the root cause analysis, Ishikawa. Try and understand, go to the root cause and address that problem. Process analysis, as we were discussing, we would need to understand who is involved, what kind of workflows, where can we find the downtime, where can we find the waste, or are there any waiting times involved, who are the people, do they have the right skills, how are they executing, how much time they're spending. All of these kind of things would be, again, very important in the process modeling, process analysis kind of thing. Reviews, again, looking at the reviews offered by the feedback, both objective reviews as well as subjective. Sometimes people do not say as much, but their actions speak. So in the previous case, I was telling you that the customer actually initially sent some feelers, people didn't notice, then they have actually got to say in proper words, or a couple of calls, the account manager noted but did not take, then they had to send an email. So all these kind of things, there are different ways of communicating, different ways of how you get the feedback. You need to be receptive to the feedback coming in from different quarters, be able to take some corrective and preventive actions. And with respect to the risks involved, so what kind of risks are that could potentially rise? Technology risk, people risk, market risk, business risk, all kind of risks that are potentially applicable. See the threat perception, and then look at the assessments of that, understand where it is, what is the probability of that, what is the most likelihood of a particular risk happening, and try and take some actions or mitigate that risk right now. So plan well ahead, so that you're way ahead of the particular event, even before that came in. Root cause analysis, as I was just mentioning in the context of process analysis, very important to know the root cause, why something has happened. What is it's not just the superficial problem, but there could be the deep underlying cause of that, in the system, the way people had been using that for years and years and decades in the organization. So that's what we typically call as NIH syndrome, right? Not invented here, NIH. So if people are so used to doing things the way they have been doing for years, if you try and do something differently, they are like, they just don't accept it. They're so averse to change. So it's important that we bring in that. We need to understand where exactly is the problem. It's not just the one or two persons, but it is actually a systemic problem. The tools, the resources, the technologies, and that's where you need to look at the transformation, the complete transformation of the processes, the systems, the tools, the resources, the vendors, and look at that as a whole program. That's why we've got something called as digital transformation, is what we call people nowadays, the programs. It's a total
Problem.
that I keep hearing that word, that phrase, if it ain't broke, don't fix it if it ain't broke. Really? If it ain't broke, you keep hanging to it, and then suddenly one fine day you see yourself hanging to that, and then rest of all the folks would have gone ahead, surge ahead. So that's a very unfortunate. So gone are the days when that was an old American saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah, that's fine. But then in the modern context, it's all about thinking radically. It's not just this one small step improvement, right? So you need to look at the whole ecosystem of where you are, how it is, things. You can't just sit there and think like, yes, this is all perfect, I'm living in the perfect world, there's nothing that's going to change. You know what, you just wake up one fine morning, this guy woke up, and then everything around changed. The way you work, everything's changing, right? So the way you work, the way you talk, the way you actually talk to your family, and the family is also not, the next of the family is also not being able to come into your house. You have so much restriction, so many different things have changed, your lifestyle has changed with technology. You're now operating everything on mobile. You can't say that, what, I'm going to send you a 100-page document by fax. Sorry, what? By fax? Which company are you living in? Which country are you living in? Which century are you living in? You need to come out of it and think like that. So you need to look at alternatives, right? So you can't just say that, what, I'll just let things pass. I'm okay. I have not changed anything. I don't need anything to be changed. No, there are a lot of things that have got changed, and you need to change as well. Just because if it doesn't, it is not broken. Yeah, that's not broken. You still want to use the camera, the photography of with the film roll, you're more than happy to use. Nobody's stopping you. But the world has moved on. They're taking digital photographs. They've got mobile phones. Still, people out there are there who are professional photographers. So you've got the full, the bulky full frame cameras. Fair enough. But you can't just say that I will use this only. I don't need to change as a business. As a business, we can't afford to change. And that's why Kodak got really, take the beating, right? We keep talking about it. It's not very fair that workshops are good again, but again, this is to get the feedback across all the departments, all the teams that you could work with, the quality, the marketing, and then if you want to actually get some insights into technology, get all of them into one room and try and take decisions quickly, then I think workshops are really very good tool for that technique. So these are the kind of techniques that you would potentially use to to make sure that you identify the areas of improvement, you implement them, you take corrective and preventive actions. In terms of stakeholders that you potentially engage in this activity, so you have got, again, the domain subject matter expert, very important, because they are the people, they're the specialists in that, they're the people who've got the experience and the expertise in that area. So they're the right set of people to identify any defects, anything that could be solved immediately, that they are able to first sort it out, first find it, and then help sort it out. So obviously the first port of call would be the domain, the specific experts, or the people who are the specialists in that domain. The project manager is very important in this context, because you're talking about multi party involvement, multi teams, talking to different people, different teams, both inside, outside. So you might need to engage a proper project manager so that you can sort out the communications. You've got this multiple party communication protocols and different kind of things involved in this. Some could be politically motivated as well. So you just need to be aware of those. So you need to work in close proximity with the project manager, making sure that they get the right support, and making sure that the processes are identified, the measures that you come up with for the improvements are actually kind of directed and channeled to the right parties involved in the right way. So essentially, it's all to be sometimes you need to be diplomatic and political to get across your message. So it's important you get that side of things as well. And then the sponsors really help to make sure, obviously, you get the buy-in. So if it comes from the top, sometimes it's more effective, instead of you introducing yourself as I think I told you about this case where I was working in an investment bank a few years ago, and then I used to send a lot of mails to these people asking them for information as per my project manager, the program manager. They want me to have a look at it. So I went ahead, tried to get in touch with these people, sent 2-3 mails, till no response, called them up, no response. But then it's when my boss actually sent them, say, introduction mail, sending that, you guys have still not responded to Partha. He's a BA working on this, so you better get your act and sort this out, because this is our priority. This is in line with the strategic roadmap of a bank, and we need to get this out onto the customers and our clients ASAP. This is also driven by the compliance for the regulatory stuff that we have got other projects. So there is a dependency of this. And once he sends that mail out, I immediately got not just emails, but I got phone calls, and I got meetings scheduled with these people within the next 2 days. And I had to wait for the people to actually respond for a good 2.5 months. When I called up, I was chasing them. I kept no, nothing yet. Kept chasing them, nothing yet. My project manager sent a mail, nothing happened. His boss, who is he was actually, I think, the senior fund director or something of the investment bank, who is basically very, very influential. He's at a director level. He sent a mail, no response. But then the boss of the bosses, the CEO of this small little investment wing that we were working in, he's still the CEO of this. So he was calling the shots. He's the sponsor for this whole budget. Has got the budget for the program that we were working on. He actually sent out a mail saying that, just one mail, just, Partha is working this, has been trying to reach out to you, get your act. That's it, just a couple of lines. And then things got sorted, and I got the schedule, and I got the workshop scheduled in the next week, and off you go. I had some interview slots with the stakeholders within the next 2-3 weeks, and it's all taken off from there, things which were not moving. So sponsor, very, very important. That kind of pressure from the top sometimes, that actually sets the ball rolling. Otherwise, things never move, unfortunately. So that was my experience. So it's good to engage the sponsors and the project managers and these kind of expertise to get to the bottom of